Hello everyone, good morning to you this morning. You're welcome to your daily life program, your breakfast show, SuperDawn. We'll talk about politics, current affairs, and general life issues. I am Anthony Usaigo, your host, and I'm here with my brother and co-host.
Yeah, we're not doing it alone this morning. Blessed Omonose.
Blessed.
Good morning, Lagos.
How
Good
are
morning,
you this
Anthony.
morning?
Very, 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 very well.
Yeah, you're looking off lifestyle.
It's the weekend. It's the
Anyway,
weekend.
yes,
just
it's the
like I
weekend.
said, just like I said yesterday, it's counting down to the weekend. And when you're approaching it, you always feel that excitement and all that.
Yes,
it's so good to be here this morning again. It's the Friday edition of SuperDawn. Good morning wherever you are.
And of course, we'll be talking about something very interesting, something that all Nigerians, basically Lagosians, have been clamoring about. We're talking about the general housing of Lagos State and Nigeria at large. Why is it that Nigerians find it hard to build a house? Why is it that Lagosians find it hard to rent apartments? We have issues with the agents and the landlords right now. There's a land use charge decree which has been causing sort of controversies. The NB has protested, etc. So yes, you do well to call in, air your opinions in the discussion as we talk about this today. I want to say, let me ask you this question.
Okay.
I mean, you're a bachelor, right?
we are. It's obvious that we are still bachelors.
Yes. Before you rented your apartment, rented your apartment, how was it like? I mean, what challenges did you face?
Anthony, getting an apartment in Lagos State, as we speak, it's not as easy as ABC. You're talking about with the situation of the economy now, landlords and house owners are not actually just getting it soft. So they just want to make the best out of it. Getting an apartment in Lagos is not that easy, and that is what we'll be looking at this morning, the housing deficit in Nigeria, in Lagos and Nigeria as a whole, and we'll be expecting the viewers to call us and tell us what it feels like living in Lagos, and seeing how we can be able to meet up with the housing deficit in Nigeria. As we speak, the housing deficit in Nigeria is about 17 million. So that's
right. That's a lot. Of course, we'll be doing the newspaper review. Talk about a few stories. Check out a few stories in the newspaper, and we'll open the phone lines. Please do well to call in and air your opinions. Meanwhile, we are actually preferring solutions. Please do not call. There is a bill for the hate speech. There is do not use curse words, swear words. Do not use profane words. Just call in and be like about it. And of course, after the discussions, we will have our sports segments. The sports team will be in the studio and talk about sports. Anyway, so that's something we
I'll say since Vera is not here, we'll do the little we know how we
Yes. Vera is not in the building. Vera is not in the studio today, but we are going to meet her. Fortunately, we are going to meet
certainly.
Vera in the studio. But of course, we'll make sure we'll make it a good show. I'm Anthony Osaibo, and we'll be back. Stay with us. When we come back from this break, SuperDawn shall continue.
SuperDawn, your daily live current affairs program where topical issues that border on politics, economy, sport, and sizzling national issues are analyzed. Now holds every Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Superscreen television. Let your voice be heard. Join us.
Okay, welcome back. This is still SuperDawn, and of course, this is the newspaper review. But we'll check out some headlines and some stories in the newspaper. Right now, we have The Punch, and The first story we're taking is protest in Plateau State, 30 killed in Taraba, Benue. And the writer says, rowdy session in Senate as Abarai calls Buhari incompetent. Parliamentary activities at the Plateau State House of Assembly were on Thursday delayed by two separate groups of protesters that stormed the assembly complex. The protesters, mostly women and youth, stormed the assembly to register their displeasure over the spate of killings by Fulani herdsmen, while the first group, the internally displaced women and downfall districts in the Bokos local government area of Plateau State, made an urgent call to action on the humanitarian situation in the area following attacks by Fulani herdsmen. The other group, Middle Belt's Youth Arise, demanded the establishment of Middle Belt's Development Commission to deal with specific situations caused by the conflict. I'm going to say.
Anthony, insecurity in Nigeria, we've talked about it. It's not something that started yesterday. And I still want to believe that our government, both at the state and federal level, are on top of the issue. But I would say that human life it cannot be compared to animal life, okay? So
true.
Whatever measures government are putting in place to ensure that security is being beefed up in these areas they should ensure that the human life come first, and they ensure that people are being protected wherever they are.
This to me is like a call for action. It's actually a call for action, the protest.
Okay.
Two groups actually protested. And I feel that this is the right thing to do, sort of. I mean, it's like the government, I wouldn't, well, my opinions are not really, but people have actually clamored and said that the body language of the federal government, especially the president, has been somehow like cadastral about the situation, and people have been clamoring, but we haven't really seen much protest. I mean, there was a hike in price in the land use charge, there was a protest. You know, there's a hike in fuel price, there's a protest, but the herdsmen killing, we didn't really see people's action.
Maybe if we have more of this protest, those who are concerned, the authorities who are concerned, will actually sit up, because I actually expect that all security forces should come together and work towards saving the lives of those people.
True, that's a call for action for the government, and we hope that something will be done real fast.
Certainly.
And here says, NAPTIP rescues 19 women being trafficked to Saudi Arabia. Operators of the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons and Other Related Matters on Thursday rescued 19 women at the Central Business District area of Abuja who were allegedly being trafficked to Saudi Arabia. Punch Metro learned that the victims, including 8 teenagers, hailed from Kano State and were rescued at the travel agent's office where they had been taken for data capturing. Whew, thank God. We took this topic yesterday.
Yes, we're talking about human trafficking, in Nigeria.
And illegal migration.
Yes,
this, to me, is a kudos to the agencies, the agency who rescued the 19 women who were trafficked.
NAPTIP.
Yes, that were about to be trafficked to Saudi Arabia.
Anthony, at this point, I would just want to appeal to Nigerians out there, making them understand that Nigeria, no matter how bad as country may be, there's still hope here. There's still hope here. You know, I see no reason why people want to leave this country and then go to another country and want to enslave themselves. So
that's the thing. I mean, right now in Nigeria, we will say that an average Lagosian, looking at your minimum wage and your salary, when you talk about the expenses, your transportation to work, your feeding, your housing, blah blah blah, and you have to work from say 9 to like 9:30, 10, 12. People would tell you you don't have a job. It's just modern day slavery.
Yeah.
You understand? But then you now leave your job in Nigeria or the jobs that you call modern day slavery and go to another country
and even enslave yourself the more, because if they get over there, they are not doing profitable job as what they are doing over here that they call modern day slavery. So
you can't just think that when you travel out, you pick sand and you have money.
Exactly.
So
That's the truth. That's the truth.
What he or she is doing out there.
Exactly.
So I think it's a good one.
Yeah, it's a welcome development.
Yes,
It is.
Because we understand that every day, even on records, people are being trafficked out of Nigeria.
Certainly.
Nigeria is a core
certainly.
Nigeria,
Certainly.
to other countries. So I think this is a part where the government and all these agencies, security agencies, the border, the customs need to
Do more.
do more on, so that we in Nigeria could develop our country. So that's what it is. What do you have to say about this? And of course. So back to the newspaper review we have here. Lagos couple laments hardship after birth of triplets. I'll take this story. Oh my God, triplets. A Lagos couple say the burden of caring for their 6 triplets is weighing them down. The triplets, Prince, Praise, and Precious, were reportedly delivered in September 2015 after the couple had decided to stop having children. The husband, 53 years old, Ifeanyi Amadu, lamented that he lost his job after his wife was delivered of the triplets.
Okay, I strongly believe that children are truly blessings from God, and I really do not see why people should be devastated when they hear such a news as this. A lot of people out there actually looking for this particular miracle of sorts, and I just want to appeal to the authorities, if they can, we understand the situation of the country as it is now. If they can get this man something worth doing so that he can cater for his family, please do come to his aid and see how this man can be able to take care of this bundle of joy, if you ask me, Anthony.
Maybe they should be sort of kind of like a scheme, sort of. You know, we have schemes, the banks, you know, there are schemes
that's the corporate organizations coming into
this to cater for
the man and the family.
These kids, triplets. And it says here that they actually had these triplets when they decided to stop giving birth.
You know, Anthony, when it comes to childbearing, though I'm not married yet, as well as you are, but one thing I know is that miracles happens. Miracles do happen, and this one, if you ask me, is one of such. And I just appeal, like I said earlier on, for the authorities and well-meaning Nigerians to come to their aid to ensure that this man has something worth doing, so I can be able to cater for his home and this wonderful kids.
Well, anyway, it will definitely be a blessing in disguise. Do not look at it like, okay, you have triplets, you want to not die. No. These are kids given to you by God, and it's a blessing.
Certainly, it's a miracle. It's a miracle.
Okay, another story here says Nigeria's population growth will cause challenges, says Osibanjo. Vice President Yemi Osibanjo says Nigeria's population growth will cause many challenges. This comes just as the National Population Commission revealed recently that Nigerian population grew by nearly 50 million in 12 years. He therefore called on the World Health Organization to make Nigeria a priority. Osibanjo made a request when he received in audience the Director General of the WHO, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus. Okay.
Anthony, I'm happy the President is aware that our growing population is going to cause a lot of challenges.
The Vice President.
Yeah, the Vice President. But the thing here is, what are they doing? What are they doing with this population in mind? Nigeria is the fastest growing country in the Africa continent, the black race. So I expect that this administration should put some certain things in place for our growing population.
But then when you look at it, like, why are we growing this fast, and why it has to be Nigeria? I mean, is it that
on the lighter note, we just had the story about a particular family that just gave birth to triplets. Okay, so if we have to create a policy whereby it's just either a child or two per family, maybe that will be able to help us nip in the board of our green. Yeah, China has that policy. I don't know if they've scrapped it, but if Nigeria really want to crack down on their population, let's just have a policy that would determine the birth of each family.
Wow, Nigerians are really going fast. Okay, here we have Chief Magistrate jailed 3 years for 1 million naira bribe. Chief Magistrate Mohammed Balogun has been sentenced to 3 years in jail by an Abuja High Court for demanding a bribe of 100,000 naira from a litigant for the purpose of giving him favorable judgment. He was, however, given the option of paying a fine of 500,000 naira. The chief magistrate, the chief magistrate, was barely arrested a week before he was to be elevated to the position of a judge. Okay, now the chief magistrate jailed for 3 years for a 1 million naira bribe.
It's a welcome development, but another thing we need to look at here is if they can get that chief magistrate, let's say we can get other judges.
Because it's something that
are
is
also
happening.
guilty of corruption as well. It's a welcome development, if you ask me, Anthony. It's a welcome development. Let's do more of these so that corruption can be nipped in the bud. Let's do more of this. If we keep arresting all our corrupt top officials, Nigeria will be a better place to be.
Definitely.
All right, I'm starting off with the Daily Trust this morning. On the Daily Trust this morning, I have a lot of stories. Starting up with the main headlines: Senate disband pro Buhari group suspends Omo Agege. Senate disbands pro Buhari group suspends Omo Agege. Let me quickly take the story. The Senate yesterday suspended Senator Ovie Omo Agege, APC Delta, representing Delta State, for 19 legislative days, and also proscribed Parliamentary Support Group PSG for Buhari. Omo Agege was suspended for a comment he made to reporters that an amendment passed on February 14 was which altered the sequence of election was targeted at the president. This was the public perception, he said in the interview shortly after the bill was passed. On February 20th, Senator Dino Melaye, APC, Kogi State, raised a point of order demanding that Omo Agege be probed over his remark. Anthony, as one of our senators, our distinguished senator, in person of Senator Ovie Omo Agege, has been suspended.
Well,
do you think it's a welcome development? Do you think it's the right thing for the Senate to do at this point?
I feel, well, at the end of the day, the sequence has been set down there, the timetable, and I think the government, the Senate, they're trying to protect their will, trying to protect their bills.
Good, they are trying to protect that, but this man is also from the APC, and the APC are the one ruling us now as we speak. But he's also speaking his mind and telling us the truth. We, the Nigerians, need to know. So do you think it's a welcome development for him to be suspended?
Well, it's not a thing of being a welcome development or not. I feel that in this case, whether or not it has been altered, the Senate with the power vested on it, can actually do whatever it wants to do as regards lawmaking. And being suspended, it's going to curb some kind of, it definitely will curb some kind of alteration going around in this inter-party politics going on.
All right, now if you want to get more of that story, just get the Daily Trust. And still on the Daily Trust, 17 aspirants picked APC governorship form. It's counting down to APC election, and it's coming up this year. Abacha Lot, reps probe Malami over $17 million free. Secondus, you can get that on page 3 of Daily Trust. And still on Daily Trust, secondus to EU.
Well, it's like right now.
I'm coming, I'll allow you to talk, but let me just quickly take this. APC, INEC will rig 2019 poll. Let me quickly take that story. You can find that on page 19. Now let's hear what the chairman of the PDP, that's the People's Democratic Party, is saying to the EU about that. The story reads, ahead of the 2019 election, the national chairman of the PDP, Prince Uche Secondus, yesterday told a European Union delegation in Abuja that the ruling APC and the Independent National Electoral Commission are working to truncate Nigeria's democracy. Secondus, who spoke at the PDP secretariat during the EU's team visit led by Kati Carson, said indication on ground showed that the APC was not prepared to conduct free and fair election in 2019. Anthony.
Well, that's an allegation. It's just, well, it's an allegation.
It's an allegation, yes.
So you cannot just come out outrightly and say that this is this, that is that.
But Anthony,
I think it's all politics.
It's all politics here. But in Nigeria, there's this trend that when a ruling party is on, they have this feeling that the INEC will be working in favor of the ruling party. Do you see that coming to play in 2019 election?
Well, do I really see that coming to play? That's a good question. That's actually a question. Well, I cannot make allegations right here. Bless you, because we are journalists.
All right.
But regardless, I think the INEC is doing a good job. And the INEC is definitely, it all boils down to the INEC. You know, the regulations of this election that's coming on, the polling units. I just want to appeal. I want to appeal to the government, INEC, to make sure the security
is tight, and the election for 2019
transparent, enough, free
and fair. Let me quickly take this story inside the Daily Trust this morning. Presidency, we pay 1.5 billion naira to poorest Nigeria monthly, and this is coming from the Vice President. The Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, yesterday said the present administration is paying 5,000 naira monthly to over 3,000 of the poorest family across the country. The Vice President said the payment was being done without discrimination along party lines. Speaking in Umuahia at the launch of Abia State Telehealth Support Center, Osinbajo said the federal government was giving loans to over 300,000 traders and artisans, feeding 125,000 pupils in 742 schools, and we have 1,569 cooks in total for microcredit loan under our GEEP scheme. Anthony, do you really think that this present administration has made enough efforts to fulfill their mandates, the promise they made to Nigerians that they'll be given the stipend of 5,000 naira monthly?
Well, this is if you are out there and you're watching this right now, it's only right that you call in and answer this question. Were you giving your 5,000? Did you see your 5,000? But you know, see, the thing is, before the government, the president or the
present administration,
come in, there is always a manifesto. Now, in your manifesto, you say you will do this, you will do that, you do this, do that, do that, do that, you know. But when you come in, do you fulfill it? I feel it's not really about promises. It's about fulfilling your promises. It's about what you have done or what you will do.
All right.
Do you understand?
All right.
So,
just like Anthony said,
everything is just so obvious as it stands. You don't really have to flog on it.
Certainly.
You know, that's it. And I think since he has made the promise, I think he should just do this.
And just like Anthony said earlier on, if you have been a beneficiary of the 5,000 naira that this present administration has promised to give Nigerians, which has amounted to 1.5 billion naira, please call in and let us know. That's all on the Daily Trust this morning. If you want to get more stories, just pick a copy of Daily Trust. It's over to you, Anthony, for the next paper review.
Okay, I'll take a few stories here. This one says Ibadan monarchs twins kidnapped. Okay, 2 men yesterday stormed the Ibadan, Oyo State's home of Otun Olubadan of Ibadan land, Obalekon Balogun, and kidnapped his 5-year-old twins. The twins are a boy and a girl. Details of how the incident occurred were sketchy last night. My heart goes to the Olo of Ibadan right now.
Certainly.
But that's what we are saying. We're still talking about national security. I think the president needs to step up his game. I mean, the first priority that the president needs to look into is
securing the monarchs.
That is security generally. And we've been having this, I mean, it's like this administration have been having issues with security for over the years, and it's only right.
If the authorities step up. I really don't understand why an high-placed monarch like the Olubadan will be attacked. It shows that insecurity in Nigeria is really everywhere. I do pray, and I also appeal to the state government to ensure that this family regain the children, the 5-year-old kids that were actually abducted.
And we have here 122 corps members to repeat service year. We had the corps members for the badge did their POP yesterday, the personal parade yesterday.
Yeah.
And yes, and right now we are saying 122 corps, so that's too bad. Well,
if there's a need to, of course, they still have to go back and do that.
Anyway, we have here row over Buhari's link of killer headsmen to Gaddafi. We have Supreme Court's verdicts on Saraki on July 6th, and you can find that on page 8 of the Nation's newspaper. We have CBN Bank's support for SMEs to hit 60 billion naira. That's it for the Nations. We'll just take a few headlines because of time.
On the Vanguard this morning, the headlines are really screaming, still talking about insecurity in the country. Headsmen kill 66 in Benue. Taraba scores in Zamfara. And on the rider, killers defy presence of IGP Idris in Taraba. Governor Ishaq Qureshi Salam backs Danjuma on self-release. Now, Anthony, before I go into the story, based on what this rider says, Governor Ishaku of Taraba State has raised alarm and has backed the speech of former Chief of Army Staff T.Y. Danjuma on self-defense, talking about self-defense in protecting the lives of the Nigerian citizens. Do you think it's really a thing we should be looking at this point in time?
Well, this question I asked a political analyst, and he's also a military personnel. And he said, I'm just going to quote him, not my opinion, but since you asked the question, that when T.Y. Danjuma said that you should defend yourself, he didn't mean go and carry gun and start shooting people.
Certainly.
You understand?
Okay.
He didn't mean that. What he meant was, okay, when you are home, you understand, be vigilant. Be vigilant. Don't always wait for the security. Don't always wait for the police. When you have, you see some cases of some mishaps or suspect anything happening, you could do well to just call security agencies. When you're at the house, make sure you lock your doors, make sure you are alert, and make sure that to an extent you have this little
idea about security.
You don't have to have guns or all that, but just have something to protect yourself.
You can defend yourself.
You understand? I mean, if an armed robber comes to you, what will you do? You don't have to be just armless.
All right, now still on the Vanguard this morning, we are after patient Jonathan properties, and that's coming from the EFCC. On the top page of the Vanguard this morning, around this section, as PDP senator slams Buhari, Omo Agege suspended for 19 days legislative legislative tenure. And you can actually get the Vanguard this morning to get a full download of that story. Let me quickly just take a few stories inside the Vanguard this morning. 8-month-old boy found dead in water container inside parents' room. If you really want to know more about that, go get the Vanguard story.
That's really sad. Some things that happen in Nigeria.
A lot are happening.
You just cannot comprehend.
A lot are really happening, brother. So if you want to find more on that story, go get yourself a copy of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. And that's it on the tabloid for this morning. We've looked at papers cutting across the Vanguard, Daily Trust, the Nation, and the Punch.
Anyway, hope you will enjoy that. Up next, we are going to be talking about housing in Lagos, affordable housing in Nigeria to be precise. Now, we understand the fact that in Nigeria right now, to the process, the documentations, you have this challenge with the so-called Omoele. We have challenges trying to build a house, materials, the contractors, you who is trying to rent an apartment, you have challenges with the fee, the agents. It's always this, the burden is just so much on you. Yeah. We'll be talking about that on the next segment. And when we will go on a quick break, and when we return, we shall talk about that with our guest. Stay with us.
SuperDawn, your daily live current affairs program where topical issues that border on politics, economy, sport, and sizzling national issues are analyzed. Now holds every Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Superscreen Television. Let your voice be heard. Join us.
You're welcome back. This is still SuperDawn, and on contrary to what I said earlier on, tonight on this segment we'll be talking about power supply in Nigeria. Is the power supply in Nigeria again enjoying it? Is it adequate enough? And of course, we will look at preferred solutions. We need to look into this. And in the studio with us, we have Mr. Tunde Kolawole. He is a legal practitioner, and he will be talking about this issue with us in the studio. You're welcome, sir.
Hi, good morning, Anthony. Thanks for having me.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And to the good people
definitely
who take their time to listen to us, I also say good morning to them all.
Thank you very much, sir, for coming. Sir, let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
In Nigeria, do we have adequate power supply?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. If you look at most of the power plants that we have in this country today, you will agree with me that most of them were built so many years ago. Some as old as 50 years, some as old as even 70. At Ijora there used to be a coal power plant at Ijora. I don't know whether you young people will know where it is. They are very close to the PHCN, what used to be PHCN headquarters in those days. As soon as we built the Kainji Dam, because of lack of foresight, the Gowon administration, the military administration that was there at that period in time, thought Nigeria was now too big to start using a coal power electricity generating plant. And so they went and scrapped that power plant, forgetting that the Kainji Dam that we built, that was meant to generate electricity for this country, had its own capacity, had its own limited capacity. As at the time we were building the Kainji Dam to generate hydroelectricity for us and all that, what was the population of this country? It's probably less than 80 million.
Okay, so you mean the population of the country right now is also an adverse?
I mean, the statistics I got a few months ago, of course, power. The statistics I got just a day or two ago, I said Nigeria is now about 198 million people.
Certainly.
And that in the year 2050 or thereabout, the population of Nigeria is going to be bigger than even that of US and then some of these European countries and all that. Now, when you look at that scenario, in the 50s or in the years or in the 60s, in the 70s, when Kainji Dam was built, the population was lesser. The number of people who also have electronic gadgets like handset, pressing iron, televisions and all that were also very, very limited. In fact, when I was growing up in Ibadan, I grew up in Ibadan, somewhere in Agbeni. In the whole of our facility or in the whole of Ibadan, the number of people who had the television set could not up to 100. They were not even up to 50. And the transistor radio, the radiogram, the electronic gadget that used to play music, those who had it at that period in time too can be counted on the fingertip.
But right now we have
almost every home you get into now, apart from handset, there are full complement of of all these electronic gadgets that depends on electricity. Of course, too, you also have the industries who are also expanding. You have the welder, the artisans, and other. All of them will depend on electricity. So, if we were thinking nation, if we were planning nation, if we were a reasonable nation, we would have made the projection. Well, we would not have scrapped the coal plant that I said was at Ijora. We will also have thought that within this also number of years, so these are the number of power generating plants that we need to put on ground. But no, we never had that plan. And then the population and all the other things that to consume electricity keep increasing in a geometric manner. Whereas we weren't.
In that aspect, you would say that, okay, that's a downside. Exactly. Formerly, it used to be NEPA and PHC until it became privatized. When you look at the time when it was privatized, comparing it to when the government owned the agency, would you say, what's your take on what they have done so far as a private organization?
Honestly speaking, I haven't seen any improvement in what the so-called sales or privatization of power has done to this country. When you look critically at all these sales and all that, you will see that a lot of fraud is behind some of this things.
Like
the first we want to ask us, who were the people who bought this electricity company? Were they people who have the requisite scientific and technical expertise to really manage them? The answer is no. You and I will remember there were use and cry when those power plants are going to be privatized, that they went into the hands of former head of states, former army generals, and war affair and all that. And all those army generals and former head of state and president, none of them has come out openly to deny that they bought those power plants. So the implications that their refusal to deny that they bought those power plants and all that is an admission they really own them. So if you didn't have the requisite technological expertise to run this power plant, how are you going to be able to manage them? That is one of the reasons we have not seen improvement. I also want to make a comparison here. You also look at the port. You know, we concession the ports to certain private person. And the agreement that was had with those who bought the ports and said, within this also period of time, these were the improvements and all that you will see. These are the kind of revenue that the port should generate. But have they been able to do that? Is there any improvement when you go to the Papa or the workforce and all that regarding what the private investors who have bought those places and put in place. And rather, the situation has degenerated. It is the federal government that is subsidizing those things. Also, that is the situation we have found ourselves in the power plant today. Just about a week ago, Fashola came out and said in the next few or so years, the federal government is already investing so much trillions of naira in the power plant. And about 90 power plants are going to come on stream within this also period. So it means that even despite the fact that we sold or privatized those power plants, the federal government of Nigeria, the revenue, those who are the taxpayers of this country are still the one that are subsidizing the power plants.
Now, coming into that now, based on what you just said, now, I'd like to ask, we would actually discussing the path to achieving adequate power supply in Nigeria. Now, I want to ask now, previous administration have invested so much in power supply, and even the current minister, while he was still the governor of Lagos State, said, and I'll quote him, that it won't take more than 6 months to provide power supply in the whole of the country. Now, I want to ask you, sir, this question. Why is it that after investing so much in power, we're still not getting enough supply for the entire country?
Sure, fantastic questions. A few number of factors. Let me first and foremost remind you that not too long ago, Sarah, this organization, socio-economic responsibility, something like that, they did a colloquium on the amount of investment that has been done into the power plant, and then the kind of returns that the Nigerian people have got. And our learned friend, Professor Oke of the University of Lagos, came and delivered a paper giving out revelation statistics upon revelation statistics regarding the quantum moment that has been spent, and then the achievement that has been recorded. And then almost, I think the man said we have spent almost 15, Obasanjo, Yaradua, and Jonathan administration spent almost spent about 15 trillion naira in the power plant without any adequate return. Why is this so? 2 or 3 things. First and foremost, like I said, most of those who bought this power plant, or most of the people behind it, don't have the adequate expertise to relay management. The second one is that of corruption. Power like the NNPCO, like our refineries, have become a kind of a bottomless pit in which this country has just been putting money without any adequate. So corruption is also at the bottom of it. The other one is that the kind of statement made by Fashola, our learned friends, would appear to me to be born out of ignorance. In fact, he came out and said, look, all you needed to do is within 6 months to put modular power plant everywhere. And before you know it, there will be adequate electricity everywhere, because it's cheaper. Like he also made a similar revelation, similar mistake. When he was removed from the Ministry of, as the Attorney General of the Federation, and Obasanjo deployed him to the power as ministers and all that, he also made similar mistakes. And at the end of the day, but like he also failed in a very colossal manner, to such an extent that Chief Obasanjo, or former President Obasanjo, who is his friend, came out and said that but like he's one of the most ignorant persons he has ever met. I mean, saying that because the power area is a very slippery terrain in which you require a lot of expertise. People really understood it. The only person I've seen in this country who understands what's required to be done in the power sector is Professor Patinachi. And for one reason or the other, when they were privatizing the power plants, the business side of Professor Patinachi also took the better part of him. He bought one of the power plants in the east. He was also building another one, and then the Bureau of Privatization said, look, you cannot be running a power plant as a businessman and also be the one in charge of the ministry. That becomes a conflict of interest. So they removed him. If I were the president at that period in time, I would have prevailed on Professor Patinachi to share this idea of buying a power plant, and then please help this country bail this country out of the power quagmire they are. Because all over the world, people of Bartholomew Energy status don't invest, don't do business. They are scientists, they are researchers. The society will always take care of them.
Coming to politics now, you know that the agency is being owned by, according to you, most of these politicians.
Powerful Nigerian.
Definitely. And we have right now the alternative when there is no power in Nigeria is to get your diesel or your fuel and get a generator. Now, for the companies that are importing generators, and it's a good one for them, because now people have to buy generators. And you can go to a residence and you see that some people have up to 3, 4, 5. You know, some abandoned. That's what, like, they depend on people's business. And when you come into the oil sector, because there is no light, we have to, or there is no adequate power supply, you always have to buy fuel, you have to buy diesel. You know, running Super Screen alone, we know how much we spend on diesel.
Yeah,
you understand? And that is a good revenue for the oil and the people importing generators.
Exactly.
Understanding that somehow, some way, there is some kind of connection. There is politicians are always very connected. There is this allegation that the people controlling the power supply in Nigeria, or could it be that the people controlling the power supply in Nigeria are colluding with these oil sellers and the generator sellers, just so they can they will be bribed, sort of. Okay, let me not use the word bribe. They would sort of collude with the people that are selling this oil and generators, so that
they can make more money, and then the past situation in Nigeria will not be as we ought to have it.
You see, Anthony, within my few years of being in existence, especially since I became an adult, I have found out that there is nothing impossible in this country. It is not impossible for those who are selling generators and importing these generators from colluding with those who should really give us light to really sabotage that area. And I will give you some instances. I do remember when PSN was still alive and kicking and all that. Each time December was approaching and all that, the transformer very close to my house, somehow, we always break down when it's coming to December. And then the PSN boss will come to us and said one thing there, the other is gotten spoiled and all that. And then we in the neighborhood would have to contribute money so that they will replace it. And when it became incessant, somebody advised us that we should build a kind of
a fence,
barbed wire, a kind of fence around this inside and all that. And if we do that, that will stop and all that. So they will come. And immediately we give them the money and all that. Lo and behold, within a few seconds and all that, power will come back to area. The implication was that every time December was approaching, when these people needed money to take care of whatever will be their December needs and all that, they will sabotage that power transformer, and then to be able to use it to raise money for their December merrymaking. So if that is happening at the macro level, you can imagine those who have invested millions or even not billions of naira into importing these generators and other and distributing in the country, they will even do worse than the food soldiers that are around this.
Shouldn't it be some sort of a regulation, sort of, to check into this?
That is why it's there. The regulations that there, the law is even there, because, and it's one of the most stringent law. When you sabotage public utilities and all that, it is life imprisonment. But where is the political will to really enforce it? Those who should really bring these people to book, or those who should make sure that people don't sabotage what the PSA and what the discos are doing, are also the one in charge of the Electricity Regulatory Agency. Not too long ago, you will remember about 5 commissioners, or is it 5 commissioners or thereabout in the Electricity Regulatory Agency were taken to court by ICPC and EFCCs and all that for the monumental corruption that they were perpetrating in the Electricity Regulatory Agency. If they were committing that kind of fraud, you could be rest assured that people like that will not blink an eye to really ask for gratification from the disco people not to be able to do what is right. Let's also give you an example. All the Nigerians today, most Nigerian people today are clamoring we want prepaid meter, so that everybody could have an even playing grounds and all that. Why has it become difficult for PACN or for the disco to really supply each home with prepaid meter? But they have refused to supply. Is it not the responsibility of the regulatory agency and also the government to enforce that law? Because
so
if you have your prepaid meter,
this is done intentionally, so that
I think so.
Right now, residents have complained that there is this estimated billing is on the high side.
Exactly.
You know, and people are actually going for prepaid meters.
Exactly.
Why is this situation not looked into?
It's because of a vested interest. That is just the bottom line. Those who ordinarily should ensure that the appropriate things are done. I also have people who have vested interest in the dirty things that have been done in most of these power agencies and all that. If, for example, we have people with clean hands who have responsibility to manage some of these organizations, they would have put our foot. What does it cost to get prepaid meter? There are even companies in this country say, look, we are ready to manufacture prepaid meter, give to people, and then the household are even ready to pay for some of those prepaid meter, but they won't pay. Simply because the discos prefer to be given estimated bill. I give you my own hypothetical example. In my little office that I run in there, initially I used to pay 4,000 naira for electricity. They won't come to do any meter reading. And then every month they won't come. They just give me a bill. And because I don't like owing, I like to pay my utility. I was paying regularly.
Why are you not doing the meter reading actually?
Well, they don't have the manpower to do it. Two, most of those meters are even too old. Some of them have been there for more than 20 years and all that they are not working fine. Some of these meters are not supposed to last for eternity, for a lifetime.
So are we the Nigerians, are we enjoying the overbilling? Because I mean,
we
you
are
come
not,
to
a
me,
lot of people are protesting.
And bill me without looking at my meter.
A lot of people are protesting. There is a woman whom I think China's television use us as one of those for some of these adverts and other, and the woman was crying that sometimes they will bring a bill of 25,000 naira to her house and other when she's just about a 6-room apartment and other, that she's not running a bakery in there. Let me tell you what usually happens. The discos have their marketing officers in respective zones and different places and other. On a monthly basis, they will give them a target. This is the amount of money that you should make in a month and all that. So those marketers and all that, what they will now do is they will look at all the people who are under their jurisdictions and all that, and then divide the target that they have been given on the different or respective bills of the people within their jurisdiction, and just as says Mr. Biso, to be able to meet the target that the offices have been given to them. Ordinarily, these kind of malpractices should be checkmated by the Electricity Regulatory Agency, but when you also go there to complain and all that, they hardly listen to you, or even they have even become numb because of the number of complaints that they are getting. There's also the Consumer Protection Agency in this country. Consumer Protection Agency. These are also organizations that people should be able to lodge their complaints and all that, but they have also become overwhelmed with the hanky-panky of all this.
I'll let you know. We have a caller. Bolaji,
calling from Egbeda.
Yeah, just making an excellent contribution. If you look at the telecom sector that I mentioned during that period, you find out that it was very transparent, and that's why we are looking to benefit today. And you don't know the millions of jobs that telecom industry has created. But when the infrastructure is based at a time, the right people, like General Electric, Manitoba in Canada, you didn't come in. You just found out that this public utility, you are facing some people that have put out their hands in public health. They don't have any right to do in our sector because these people are politicians. They are big wrong with their own lifestyle. So that's why we are seeing what we're doing in our sector. These people don't concern power companies like General Electric and Metro we have seen the benefits because over here in the Western world, in the UK, in Canada, in the US, these investors want to go to places where they can really get the best of their money. So they are coming with their own money, their expertise, and they are created maybe for the ladies, the people that want to go into maybe to do speculation. So what they are saying right now is the fact that when the power sector was doing at the time, it was not done right now. And again, before I go, the agents and investors before the public utility, they don't pay people money. So the sector, the telecom companies, STN, SL, government didn't give them any money. They brought in their own money. So when they needed to expand, they went to the bank, and banks gave them money. And they didn't pay back good loans. In the rest of time, because even the banks now, even the telecom companies, they are doing loans. But you find out that in the power sector, the government helping them. So, like it's particularly the government.
Okay, Bolaji, could you round up because of time?
Because
Thank you very much, Balaji, for that. And so I'm going to ask you this. I know Nigerians are willing to pay if they are given overestimated bills. They're willing to pay, but if the supply is available. Now, I'll give a personal example. In my own apartment where I live, they brought a particular bill to us, and then we are wondering. We look at the bill, and they will look at the supply of power. We just can't even match it. But if the bill they are bringing to us can be matched with the supply they are providing for us, fine, we'll be willing to. Now, my question now to you now is, we're trying to achieve adequate power supply in Nigeria, and I know that the power sector is a very an important sector that will yield more investment for Nigeria. Now, why are we not having foreign investors coming into the power sectors to make sure that they invest into it and make us generate even more supply for Nigerians?
That's a very beautiful question, I must tell you. A number of factors. One, if you look at the row between the US and the USSR and China today, is over intellectual property, technology and all that. There are very few countries in the world that will just willingly give you the technological know-how without getting some things in return. These are areas that people will want to guard very jealously. And if you are going to get investors coming to that areas and all that.
I'm sorry, sir, before you continue, we have a call. Adeyemi is calling from Mushi. Good morning, Adeyemi.
Good morning, my barrister.
All right, please go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, I'm Adeyemi calling from Mushi area. You see, the barrister is really saying the fact about all what the either in Kogi Street or in Ikeja District is really doing, particularly the Yaraba District in Mushin here. They perpetrate a lot of atrocities. Their bills are crazy. You can believe a room and a parlor that uses just one, at least within a month cannot use more than maybe 100 kilowatts, and they are billing us 21,000, 19,000, 18,000, 17,000. Even current bill they brought me before yesterday is 10,000 naira.
Obviously, that's much. Obviously, that's much. But can you prefer solutions to the situation at hand?
They refuse to bring prepaid, and they bring a crazy bill. The Yaraba District people have been to Marina, have supplied so many petitions, so many complaints. They don't rectify. Please, what we are going to do, factualize none of these people of weeping in Lagos. Is a person we respect too much. Is a person we honor too.
So, what is your message to the Minister of Works, Power and Supply, Housing? And what's your message to the government? What should they be doing about this?
Please, we will request the authority, the minister, the government, to put up an instruction when you discharge an instruction to your distributors, they will surely oblige to it. Give them an instruction to do the prepaid meter all over the whole place. Thank you so much. God bless you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your contribution there. Now, sir, back to the question.
So I talked about technological know-how. So before people will come in to invest, they know they are transferring technology. They want to know what they are getting in return, because these are very, very sensitive areas. I suspect this is one of the reasons investors are not too eager to just come in there without expecting something in return. The other one is the business environment. Nigeria has a very, very suffocating business environment. In fact, before this country, before this government came into power...
And before you continue, sir, we have Lawrence. Lawrence, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Barrister.
Please go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, I'm calling from Mushi.
Okay.
The last man that spoke just now just broke my mind, but I want to ask, is there any way NEPA can be sued for this issue?
Okay, Barrister. Okay, is that the question?
Yes.
Can you come again with your question?
No, he asked, is there any way that NEPA can be sued? The agency could be sued. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your contribution.
The Barrister answer that right now.
Sure. The discos and even the PSN can be sued. They are incorporated under the law, as businesses and all that. One, I will give you a particular example. There was a time one of the PSN cable fell on a woman somewhere at this TB Joshua's area.
Ikotun.
Ikotun and all that. And the woman got badly burnt and all that. And the PSN people were not going to be responsible. A lawyer took them to court and all that, and they paid compensation. If you were also brought a KCB and all that, as a consumer, you can go to court to seek redress.
So, sir, Barrister.
But you see, the hindrance has always been that the legal system here is very tortuous. You also have to pay for the services of a lawyer. But also, the other terrible aspect, if you're a tenant in a house and the meter is not your own, you cannot
go and sue, of course.
Because the agreement is between the person, the agreement is usually between the person who consumes and the person who supplies. That is to say, if you are shortchanged and all that, you must be able to show what injuries and what nexus there is between you and PSA in terms of
certainly before we let you go, I want to ask this question quickly. I want to ask you the question. Now, looking into the future, can we truly say that looking into the future, the next generation will not have to say up NEPA? That's in terms of providing adequate power supply. Looking into the future,
it is possible. It is possible. Power has, electricity has been with us for more than 100 years. It is not a new technology. It's not a new science. If we have the leadership that has the political will, and I've also been recommending for the past few years that what Nigeria with our population, with the kind of consumption that we require, what we need to do is to invest in nuclear reactors, nuclear generating power plants all over the world. And it's very cheap, it's also there now. In places like China now, do you know when they build a housing estate, they build a power mini reactor, nuclear energy. In that power estate to supply the estate with power.
All right. Power supply is really an hot topic. So
we want to thank Barrister Tunde Kolawole for this. That was very entertaining. Of course, we learned a lot. Up next, we shall talk about affordable housing in Nigeria. We'll go on this quick break, and when we get back, SuperDawn will continue. Stay with us.
I will watching the program.